What is going on, guys? It is Eric, and today I wanted to just talk about this notion that, relationships are so difficult and they take all this sacrifice and all of that. The truth is, and just examine this for yourself, that relationships really are not that difficult. They're not that hard. And there's a context, right, where if you are, I'm going to be responsible for 50% of the relationship and someone else is going to be responsible for their 50%, it's going to get pretty difficult pretty quickly because people's 50-50 is very different. That's the first thing. And there's no actual level of accountability or responsibility for the relationship as a whole. Now, if you go into something and you come in from a context of, building and creating a really great relationship, well, it's a very different experience. And I'll give you an example. So I have a friend of mine, and she recently moved out of her fiance's place. They recently broke up. And she was telling me how, she's really, really into scuba diving. And she does a lot of, marine biology stuff. She does, saves turtles and all that. And, not my thing. Clearly was not her fiance's thing. But it's her thing. And especially scuba diving. And there's a very unique experience that people have when they go scuba diving. Or, I've never done it, so I don't know from experience. And, I've watched videos of scuba diving. I've heard people talk about scuba diving, but it's not going to be the same as actually experiencing, having the experience of being very deep underwater and scuba diving. So, I just got a little thing in my eye. So, she was sharing that, her fiance was like, well, it's your thing. And even though she wanted her fiance to experience, what she experienced, to have the shared experience as a way for her to connect, it's very important to her. It's the biggest part of her life is being underwater. And her fiance had zero interest in doing it. And his rationale was, well, it's not my thing, it's your thing. Guy's a bozo. Didn't understand, had nothing to do with him inherently being interested in it. It was about actually having that shared experience, that connection. Now, it would be different if she was like, I want you to be a scuba instructor. I want you just to be your life's thing and save turtles with me for the rest of your life. That's a little different. You're asking someone to literally devote their entire life to something. All she was asking was, go do some lessons, get your certification so you can explore it with me, even if you do it once, just so we have that same experience. And he was not willing to do that. And then there was the turmoil and the difficulties that come out of that. Now it's a little weird, right? All this guy would have had to do is spend, a minimal amount of time investment on getting his scuba certification, and maybe just does it once. Maybe he doesn't even like it, but to be able to enjoy having that level of connection with his, was soon-to-be wife. And that's the low-hanging fruit that I think people miss when it comes to, not even just romantic relationships, but building any kind of quality relationship with people. Recently I was in Santa Monica, California, and a business partner of mine, he said, anytime you'd like to come up, I'd love to host you at my guest house. Now, I tend to like to be in really cool environments, and When I say cool, not like sexy cold, like cold, temperature-wise. And going out to Santa Monica in the summer, where it's really hot, and the house was not the best. You know, it had independent ACs in each room, so it wasn't super comfortable temperature-wise. But I had a really fun time, and I got to be able to just sit down with one of my partners and do work with him, go on walks with him. Now, is going on walks in the heat in the middle of the summer my favorite thing to do? No, not really. I'm a freak. Most people actually probably like doing that. They're like, well, Eric, how could you be in California and Santa Monica and that's not your favorite thing to do? No, I would rather be in a really cool, chill environment or be in my infrared sauna in my bedroom. So that's me. Now, did I get a ton of work done with him? Nope, not any more than I usually do. But our relationship has certainly deepened just because I was able to have this shared work experience with him of, you know, being outside, having our masks on, being distanced, traveling around California, him showing me different cool houses and different things. It was fun. But my point is, if I had to look at it like, oh, I'm making the sacrifice, I'm gonna have to travel all the way out to a city, I'm not even gonna get any more work done, what's the point? And I was thinking, you know, what's the point in all of that? I probably would not have gone out, or if I did go out, I would have dreaded. There would have been this underlying resentment in the background. You know, you look at people too, you know, I'll give you a personal example, right? I mean, I'm personally very into the realm of transformation. And it's one of those things where, you know, I have done Landmark's curriculum for living. And it's one of those things where you could put the founder, you know, Werner Erhard, who invented all this stuff. He used to do lots of interviews. And, you know, he'd talk about the forum. He would even do exercises from the forum. Didn't really land with people because doing an exercise from the forum outside the context of that environment is going to be not going to have the same impact. There are things from the advanced course as well that, you know, might be an interesting exercise. The advanced course has probably some great exercise, like the being with exercise. But if I was to do the being with exercise with a partner on video for you right now, it would seem kind of cool, maybe. Probably would seem kind of cool. But, you know, you wouldn't be crying. You wouldn't be, like, moved to tears. You wouldn't be having these major epiphanies because you're not in the training. And those experiences are unexplainable. No different than if you're scuba diving and that's your thing. It's not something you can explain. So, you know, if I had, you know, let's say I had a fiance. I don't have a fiance, but let's say I had a fiance. And she was really into, I don't know, Tony Robbins, let's just say. Now, I've never done any Tony Robbins' work. And I don't necessarily have some strong burning desire to do it, even though I think it's probably interesting and probably has benefits. And I think he's a brilliant guy. But if the point was to have that shared experience, yeah, I would spend 6 days of my life, go down to Florida, wherever the fuck he does it, and have that experience. And I'm sure, even whether, you know, whatever I got out of that experience, she would be grateful just for the fact that I was able to share that experience with her. So, if you approach those relationships like that and stop thinking, you know, I talked about this in another video, but you stop thinking about the transaction of all of it and just do it for the love of the experience of the relationship and the intention of connecting and creating quality connection. It's not hard. It's not difficult at all. And as long as you're being authentic and being you,
well, look at your mom.
And not being just so I guess, not self-centered, that's not the word, because I actually think in some ways it's important to take care of yourself, right? To be self-centered, but self-centered thinking self is just you in your skin bag, which isn't self. So, if you were playing a board game and the only thing you cared about was that you were having fun and the other people were kind of getting bored, that may not be that interesting. Maybe they were like, well, I want to talk to you too. I don't want to just play the game, right? You like to talk to people when you play board games. The same thing. If you make your relationships in life, and whether it's business or romantic or whatever it is, and you make them transactional, it's not going to be that fun, and it's going to be really logical, and it's not that interesting, right? There was no logical reason for me to go out of California a few weeks ago, but intuitively, to be able to have that shared experience with my partner, actually logically, is really smart. So if I was to say, well, why do I need to go down to Florida and spend 6 days of my life doing some coaching program? Well, I don't need to. I'm sure my life will be great without it. And, without some catalyst, I probably won't do it anytime soon. But if I was with someone who I really cared about, and it was like such an important thing for me to do that, of course I'd fucking do that. I wouldn't even need to find out what I'd get out of it. Of course I would do it. So, that's the that's kind of how I look at things, and it takes kind of the pressure off it. It makes it a lot easier just to kind of be and create and explore, and you have way more fun doing it, and your relationships become a lot richer. And on top of that, you you also have just the transactional aspects that become a lot more powerful. So it's not hard. It really isn't. You just focus on creating, being authentic, sharing. It's really not that difficult. And if you focus on sort of your, I'll do my 50%, they can do their 50%, and you focus on your own self-preservation and survival, and it becomes a survival conversation, over time it's going to be difficult. I have a rooftop in my building, and occasionally I'll see someone up there, and I'll say, hey, I do board games sometimes. You ever want to swing by? I don't say it right now during the pandemic times, but when there's no social distancing, I'll say, hey, look, I'd love to, if you like board games, I host board game nights some nights, and would love to have you come if you're interested, you're invited. People love that they're invited to stuff. And, you might go in the rooftop and think, well, they don't know them, they might be judging me, why would they think I was weird if I talk to them? But it's not really typically how it is. People actually, if you invite people to stuff, if you share with people, if you say hi to people, generally most people are pretty receptive. And there are going to be a few people who are weirded out for whatever reason, and that's their deal, quite frankly. People who are sort of in this non-stop survival mode, they're going to be skeptical of someone who's open and sharing with them. If you want to find people like that, find a girl, for instance, who says, every guy I've dated so fucked up, he's so stupid. Well, pretty sure if you're a guy and you're being open and sharing and authentic, they're gonna think, oh wow, you're being manipulative. What is he doing? Why is he doing that? And push you away. Almost guarantee it. Because believe it or not, most people are genuinely good people, and if you have someone who for some reason only just attracts really weird, creepy dudes, they probably are pushing away men who are kind of awesome. Or if a guy goes, yeah, all my friends are idiots. Well, if you're smart and approachable, they might think you're boring, or whatever it is. But if you want to see what people are committed to in life, look to see what they push away, and look to see what they actually engage with. When I say have fun and build quality relationships, I don't mean engage with anything. Let people be and do their thing. Doesn't mean you have to engage in it. So, if someone is gossiping and have lots of drama, it's not going to be like I'm going to start engaging with that. I will just talk about something different. And if they don't want to talk about it, that's their deal, Anyway, I'm going to go inside Whole Foods. I'm going to get a tea, and then I have a ton of work to do. I'm going to work outside today. It's really nice out. So, guys, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.